Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Wednesday, January the 13th, 2021, and I want to be updating you on news politics in Alberta. Now the president has been, um, we will start with breaking news in, uh, in the United States. Impeachment push comes after 2 months of President false election claims and last week Capitol riots. The U.S. House Representatives has voted to impeach U.S. President Donald Trump for the second time, making him the only U.S. president to ever be impeached twice. U.S. President Donald Trump remains on the verge of being impeached for a second time as the Democrat led the House pushes ahead with a vote Wednesday, just a week after Trump encouraged loyalists to fight like hell against election result, and then a mob of his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. During debate on the article of impeachment, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asked Republicans and Democrats to search their souls ahead of the historic afternoon vote. Trump must go, Pelosi said. He is a clear and present danger to the nation we all love. Trump, who could become the only U.S. president twice impeached, faces a single charges of incitement of insurrection. The stunning collapse of Trump's first day in office, final days in office against alarming warning of more violence ahead by his followers leaves the nation at unease and unfamiliar before Democrat Joe Biden is inaugurated on January 20th. The House chaplain opened the session early Wednesday with a prayer for seizing the skill of the justice from the jaws of the mob. These were not protesters, these were not patriots, these were traitors, these were domestic terrorists, and they were acting under the orders of Donald Trump. Oklahoma Republican Tom Cloud urged Democrats to consider another measures, and he and his colleagues from his party who spoke earlier on push for the formal censure that Cole claimed would have significant support, as well as the National Commission to understand the events that led to the deadly Capitol siege. There is still time to choose a different path, one that leads to reconciliation, said Cole. Cole objects to what he called a rush process with no scheduled witnesses testifying. He said that the legal experts in the past weeks have arrived at dramatically different conclusions as to whether Trump's words and actions justified an impeachment charges. But elsewhere in the party, Ohio Republican Jim Jordan stunned Trump's ally repeated from the floor some of the baseless allegations about wrongdoing in the election, particularly with respect to the Pennsylvania vote. The impeachment bill draw from Trump's own false statement about his election defeat to Biden. Judges across the country, including some nominated by Trump, have repeatedly dismissed cases challenges the election results. And former Attorney General William Barr, a Trump ally, he said there was no sign of widespread fraud. Five deaths had been connected to the January 6th riot, two in violent fashion. A San Diego woman who traveled to Washington to protest a certification of Biden's win was shot to death while Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick was assaulted in the violence and later died in hospital. Three other people were sad to have suffered medical episodes leading to death, while another Capitol Police officer on duty that day died by suicide on January 9th. Lawmakers have had to scramble for safety and hide as rioters took control of the Capitol and delayed by hours the last step in finalizing Biden's victory. As debate over his impeachment continued in the House, Trump released a statement urging his supporters not to launch new demonstrations some are threatening, with central Washington looking more and more like an armed camp ahead of the 20th inauguration. In a light of reports of more demonstrations, I urge that there must be no violence and no lawbreaking, and no vandalism of any kind, Trump said. That is not what I stand for, and it is not what America stands for. I call on all Americans to help ease tensions and calm tempers. The four-page impeachment resolution relies on Trump's own rhetoric and on the falsehood he spread about Biden's election victory, including at a White House rally on the day of January 6th attack on Capitol Hill. In the building in case of for the high crimes and misdemeanors as demanded in the Constitution. Trump took no responsibility for the riot, suggesting it was the drive out to him rather than his actions around the bloody riot that was dividing the country. To continue on this path, I think it's causing tremendous danger to our country and it's causing tremendous anger, Trump said Tuesday. He first remarks to report since last week's violence, while there may be anger in some conservative circles. The polls trackers at 53, 5,038 analyzed 9 polls, finding 52% support Trump removal by impeachment in a weighted average of the poll with 42% opposed. Limited House Republican support so far. At least 7 Republican lawmakers, including third-ranking House Leader Liz Cheney of Wyoming, were unswayed by the president's logic. The Republicans announced they would vote to impeach Trump, clipping the Republican leadership and the party itself. There have never been a greater betrayal by a president of the United States of his office and his oath to the Constitution, Chen said in a statement Tuesday explaining her decision. While Democrats welcomed the decision, some Republicans, such as Jordan, have gone on record to call for her removal as chair of the House Republican Conference. So far, Republicans John Cato of New York, Adam Kinzer, Fred Upton of Michigan, and Dan Newhouse of Washington, Peter of Michigan, and Jamie Burler of Washington State announced they too would join Jenny to vote to impeach. House Republicans leaders Kevin McCarthy says Trump bears responsibility for the attack on the Capitol, but says he opposed fast impeachment. Security was exceptional tight Wednesday, with shocking images showing National Guard troops massed in the Capitol, with secure around the complex and mental screening required for lawmakers entering into the House chamber. In a remarkable statement on Tuesday, the U.S. military bases issued a memo reminding service members that Biden was duly elected. Any act to disrupt the constitution process is not only against our traditions, values, and oath, it's against the law, the memo said. Several people found to have been unlawfully inside the Capitol during the events of January 6 have been identified as having served in the U.S. military. Late Tuesday, the House tried first to push Vice President Mike Pence and the cabinet to intervene, passing a resolution calling on them to invoke the 25th Amendment to the Constitution to remove Trump from office. Pence made it clear in a letter to Pelosi that he would not do it so, saying it was time to unite our country as we prepare to inaugurate President-elect Joe Biden. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell of Chucka said, I said to be angry at Trump, but I potentially sent a trial on whether to convict him of inciting insurrection seem all but certain to have to wait until President-elect Joe Biden is inaugurated. A spokesperson for Mitch McConnell says aides have told Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's staff that Mitch McConnell won't agree to invoke powers calling Senate into emergency session. That means the Senate almost certainly won't meet again until January 19th. That's the day before Biden's inauguration. Mitch McConnell sent a memo to his colleagues Wednesday telling them he's not decided how he would vote in Trump's possible impeachment trial in the Senate, saying he would listen to the legal arguments presented. Trump was impeached just over a year ago for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress for trying to strong arm Ukraine leader to help damage Biden's politically. So this whole article is talking about pretty much about the impeachment. So today, the House of the Representative in Washington, they voted against. They impeached Trump in the House of Representative, and next week on Friday or on Tuesday, they're gonna be voting for the Senate to impeach President Donald Trump, right? And the reason they're doing this is because they don't want him to run again 2024. This guy messed up really badly in 4 years. And then at the end of it, he attacked the Capitol building last week. And we saw all that type of disaster that we saw in the US, right? So in that point of view, they don't want him to run after Biden wins. So let's say Biden wins now 4 years, they don't want him to run again in 2024 because that's what he's hoping for to run 2044, but they don't want to give him that opportunity. So in that point, they rather do impeachment now to see if they can get rid of him. So if he has an impeachment that record, he won't be able to run again in 2024, and his record will be damaged in that point of view. So that's the good thing about it, that he is getting impeached, and the good thing about it also is that um, that's going to damage his record, and he really damaged America. He divided the country, and he damaged democracy, right? Like yesterday, saying that I don't represent violence and I don't represent whatever, but he does actually represent violence because at the end of the day, why last Wednesday then he attacked the Capitol building if he doesn't represent that? That's a really stupid thing to say as president. That's what he said. So, and I'm happy that he's leaving because he damaged America badly, and I encourage nobody should be able to support a guy that doesn't know how to run the country, doesn't know how to manage a country, it doesn't know how to deal with it in any way, and just making it more worse and divided, and dividing with the world, dividing with the country, dividing with everything, right? Um, so a lot of people are questioning now, thinking, what's the point of the impeachment? The impeachment, the reason they're doing this impeachment, so he doesn't run again in 2024. This is not impeachment. Some people are thinking, yes, Biden's going to be coming next Wednesday, and he's going to be coming, taking over the office. But still, that's not going to solve the problem because if he doesn't get impeached, then he's going to be able to run again in 2024, and Democrats don't want to give him that opportunity. And I agree, like a guy like that should not be running for office in after 4 years running again for office. He shouldn't, because he damaged America badly. And even if he runs in office again in the next 4 years, there are more damage are gonna be coming from this president, right? So that's why the Democrats are doing this impeachment, so he doesn't run again in 2024, right? And that's when it's going to be the next U.S. election. So that's why there's the impeachment that's happening. For that reason, that's why they're doing this. This they're doing the impeachment for that reason, for article. And Pelosi will expect it to be talking later on, but I won't be able to cover that because I don't know what time she's planning to be talking. But she's planning to give an update about the impeachment in the House. But he did. That's good. That's good start. And there is a lot of Republicans that so far that won the impeachment. There's a lot of Republicans that went with the Democrats, and so far 10 Republicans agreed that they will support the Democrats with the impeachment. So that's already because the last impeachment, when the Democrats won the House, there was no one Republican even that was did side up with the Democrats. But this time is different. The Republicans, they did side up with the Democrats, and not all of them. It's just some of them that did, but they did side up with the Democrats for that reason, right? So I'm saying this is the first time. So in the Senate can be different too. Like the Republicans can lose the Senate because this is a different way now. The last impeachment was different, but this is attacking democracy, and a lot of Republicans are upset because how Donald Trump handled the attack last Wednesday, and hitting the Capitol building. And really, a guy like that, I agree to. He should be removed from office, and he shouldn't be running again for 2024. A guy like that shouldn't bother. He damaged America in every way, and then now he doesn't want to respect democracy. And in that point, he should just leave because a guy like that shouldn't have an office, shouldn't have anything. He shouldn't. So I hope the impeachment. I also hope he gets impeached. I hope, because already the House he got impeached and the Senate is going to be next week, but he gets impeached because if he gets impeached, he's not going to be able to have no power to become a president again. No part. Even his own party, they're not going to choose him because he wants no party wants a leader that that got impeached or went down, right? No parties like here. If the party's weak, if the leader's weak, and he gets defeated from the other party, and you put him down, nobody wants that. Because who knows next for another 4 years how much he's gonna do? He's gonna just he really ruined the party's reputation. Nobody was gonna choose him again for him to. It was a mistake. Even the Republicans now they regret it. That it was a mistake to choose a guy like that to run a country. If I was in that party, I will look at him like a guy that it was a big mistake running because in every way he damaged democracy. He damaged it by the election. He damaged it by last week attacking the Capitol building. And in every way you can see this guy, he damaged America badly and he damaged the country and he damaged. And we didn't have allies and we didn't have nothing because of him. He damaged. He couldn't even make an agreement with Canada. Couldn't make agreement with we had really harsh time with America because of him. So really, a guy like that, he deserves to go and he deserves to be impeached. And now he got impeached in the House. I hope next week he gets impeached in the Senate because that's what I want to see on Tuesday. But again, some people are going to tell me there's no point. There is a point because he's not going to be able to run for office in 2024. So that's what's happening in America so far. And that's what this whole impeachment is all about. And YouTube also suspends Donald Trump. So YouTube suspends Donald Trump's channel for 7 days. YouTube said channel violated policies for enacting violence after last week's assault on the U.S. Capitol. Alphabetic YouTube said on Tuesday it has suspended Donald Trump's channel as it violated policies of enacting violence after last week's assault on the U.S. Capitol by president supporters. Online platform and social media companies are distancing themselves from and taking action against those that encourage or engaging in the violence in Washington, D.C. Trump's channel is now prevented from uploading new videos or live streams for a minimum of 7 days, which may be extended, YouTube said in a statement. Supporters of Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol last Wednesday trying to halt the certification of Congress of President-elect Joe Biden's win. Trump, who was challenged of Biden's victory without producing evidence, initially praised his supporters but later condemned the violence. Lawmakers were forced to flee as the building was mobbed by protesters who overwhelmed security forces. 5 people died in the violence, including one Capitol officer. After the inactive Twitter and Facebook removed Trump account and have been elimination context supporting last week's assault, while Amazon.com suspended Parler, a social media platform favored by many supporters of Trump from its web hosting service. So he lost YouTube. He lost. That's why he won't be able to comment about what happened today because he doesn't have no social media, nothing, and that's good because this is what's leading to violence and leading to things, and this needs to stop. So with the Capitol secured by armed Nation Guard troops inside, the House voted 232 and 197 to impeach Trump. The proceeding moves at a lightning speed, with lawmakers voting just 1 week after violent pro-Trump loyals stormed the U.S. Capitol on the president called for him to fight like hell against the election results. 10 Republicans fled Trump, joining Democrats who said he needed to be held accountable and warned unanimously of a clear and present danger. If Congress should leave him unchecked, before Democrat Joe Biden inauguration 20th, the Capitol insurrection stunned and angered lawmakers who were sent scrambling for safety as the mob descended, and it revealed the fragility of the nation's history of peaceful transition of power. The rise also forced for reckoning among those Republicans who have stood by Trump throughout his presidency and largely allowed him to spread false attack against the integrity of the 2020 election. During the debate of the article of impeachment, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asked Republicans and Democrats to search their souls ahead of the historic afternoon vote. Trump must go, Pelosi said. He is a clear and present present danger to the nation we love. Actually, removal seemed unlikely before the 20th January inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. A spokesperson of the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said the Republicans leader would not agree to bringing the chamber back immediately, all but ensuring a Senate trial could not begin at least until January 19th. So, still, Mitch McConnell did not rule out voting to convict Trump in the event of the trial. In a note to his fellow Republican senators just before the House was to begin voting, he said he has not undecided. While the press has been full, I have not made a final decision on how I will vote, and I intend to listen to the legal arguments when they are presented to the Senate, Mitch McConnell wrote. While Trump's first impeachment in 2019 brought no Republican votes in the House, at least 8 House Republicans announced in advance that they would break with the party to join Democrats, this time saying Trump violated his oath to protect and defended U.S. democracy. In the end, 10 Republicans voted to impeach, among them um, woman Ray Chen, and the third-ranking Republican in the House and daughter of the former Vice President Dick Cheney. So I'm telling you that there is Republicans now that want to join Democrats because they're very shameful that they have a leader that not just doesn't want to accept democracy, doesn't want to accept anything, but went in the U.S. Capitol, just attacked it and and teared it up and broke stuff. And the election he doesn't want to accept, and in every way he's just a terrible president. He lies too much, and they're shameful. Like every way you can see with this Donald Trump, every way you can see disaster over disaster. And now they're saying today that they wanna join the Democrats. That tells you how bad the party, how much shameful they have to have. They this is they made a huge mistake by choosing this guy to run as a leader. Huge mistake. And that's why I'm saying if he gets impeached, there's no way that Republicans are going to make a leader that got impeached to run again for office in 2024. There will be maybe some Republicans that are going to be okay with that, but there will be a majority of the Republicans that are not going to be okay with that because they don't want a leader that got impeached and is known as and known as a bad leader to continue because who knows in the next 4 years what more damage this guy can do, right? He ruined the party, he ruined the whole reputation. That's why I'm saying now his own party too, they want to join the Democrats, and that's why the House got a majority. The House won last time, but they didn't have Republicans, so that's why I'm saying it's going to be different this time. It's not going to be the last impeachment, and this impeachment that they're doing is different. The second impeachment that they're just doing this week and next week is not the same as the impeachment that we had in 2019 when it had to do with the Congress and the Ukraine interference election in 2016. So I'm just saying this is different kind of one, and they won it with the Republicans with big majority, and the Senate they can win it too because there's a lot of Republicans out there that are really upset and disappointed to see what Donald Trump did, and that will make him lose the impeachment for sure. So I'm going now to talk about Alberta. There's nothing else to talk about now, right? But I will go and talk about Alberta, and then we will come back because I'm going to be talking about the COVID-19 numbers. So Canada has 67,009,934 cases confirmed in Canada today. Alberta has 11,002,743 cases, 1,345 deaths. British Columbia has 58,553 cases, 1,019 deaths. Manitoba has 26,695 cases, 753 deaths. New Brunswick has 836 cases, 12 deaths. Newfoundland and Labrador has 393 cases, 4 deaths. Nova Scotia has 1,542 cases, 65 deaths. Ontario has 22,004,984 cases, 5,127 deaths. Prince Edward Island has 103 cases, 0 deaths. Quebec has 23,004,695 cases, 8,815 deaths. Saskatchewan has 19,017 cases, 206 deaths. Northwest Territory has 24 cases, 0 deaths. Nunavut has 266 cases, 1 death. And Yukon has 70 cases and 1 death total. So these are the cases that we have in Canada, and each province and territories, they have cases. They're still high in some cases in Alberta. So now we're going to be moving on to the Senate. So the Senate caucus leader admits he traveled to Hawaii for the holidays. Canadian Senator Group Deputy Leader St. Joffer still hasn't said whether she traveled aboard. The leader of the Canadian Senator Group, Sin Scott Tanis, confirmed today he traveled to Hawaii during the holidays, but the group's deputy leader hasn't said yet whether she traveled aboard at a time when the government is strongly recommending against leaving the country due to the pandemic. In an email statement to the Canadian press, Tanis said he will be returning to Alberta soon. Tanis said that he compelled with all the rules and the health protocols required to safely travel aboard during his holidays, and he will be ready to get back to work with a Senate resume its sitting. Senate as Alberta Senator and Quebec Senate Josie Verner, the group deputy leader, were the only two senators in the 93-member body who did not initially respond to multiple requests for comments about their whereabouts. Phone calls to the Senate office went unanswered and staff did not respond to emails. Tanis, who was appointed by former Prime Minister Stephen Harper in 2013, serves as the deputy chair of the Senate Ethics and Conflict of Interest Committee. He also serves as the deputy chair of Powerful International Economy, Budget and Administration (CIBA) Committee. A spokesperson for CIBA did not respond to the request for comment. In addition, his role as a senator, Tanis runs an Alberta-based private equality firm, the Western Investment Company of Canada. Traditionally, a Whip Act enforced-in-chief charges with keeping track of caucus members to ensure there are enough senators on hand for debates and votes. As you probably know, the CSG members in the Senate are completely independent. Our group does not whip votes or our members. Therefore, they are not required to advise how they intend to vote on any legislation in that spirit of independence. Do not advise or seek permission to travel, Downey said in an email statement. So this guy traveled, and people want to know where he went because he traveled, and people actually don't know exactly where he actually traveled. Um, so we're gonna be moving on talking about anything that has to do with politics today. If there's politics, we can talk about that. Um, anyways, I'll Jim Carrey. I'll be talking about now. Gonna go to Edmonton, and then I will. So Alberta reports 875 new COVID-19 cases, another 23 deaths. Provincial data show an average of 20 deaths a day between January 1st and January 10th. Alberta reported 875 new cases of COVID-19 on Wednesday and another 23 deaths from the disease. 5 of the deaths happened in December and the other happened on January 9th. 2 deaths January 11, 7 deaths, and January 12, 9 deaths. Across the province, 820 patients were being treated in the hospital for the illness, including 137 in ICU beds. Including numbers from Wednesday updated, 218 people in Alberta have died from COVID-19 already this month. Here are breaks of death reports to Alberta Health so far in the month. January 1st, 18 deaths. January 2nd, 22 deaths. January 3rd, 20 deaths. January 4th, 22 deaths. January 5th, 21 deaths. January 6th, 23 deaths. January 7th, 19 deaths. January 8th, 15 deaths. January 9th, 21 deaths. January 10th, 21 deaths. January 11th, 11 deaths. 4 people reported the day before. January 12th, 9 deaths. Totally is likely incomplete. Dr. Dina Hinshaw, the province chief medical officer of health, provides her latest update Wednesday at a news conference. None of January's daily death totals were recorded on December 27th. There were 27 reported deaths, and December 18th had 25 reported deaths. COVID-19 deaths are reported when Alberta Health confirms them, and there can be delays for several days before all information is available. So these are the deaths that we have in Alberta, and is going out of hand with Jason Kenney, and we know how Jason Kenney is. Um, he doesn't care about people's health at the end of the day. All he cares about people, right? And that's what it is. So a second dose can be delayed up to 6 weeks, national panel says. Canadian National Panel of Vaccine Experts says the second COVID-19 vaccine dose can be delayed briefly in order to quickly get first dose to more people. The National Advisory Committee on Immunization says every effort should be made to follow the 21-day and 28-day dosing schedule recommended for 2 vaccine approval in Canada to date. But as pandemic heat up, as COVID-19 supply trick slowly, the panel also says it delays the second dose for up to 6 weeks instead of 3 to 4, could quickly give more people at least some protection against COVID-19. Canada is getting enough vaccine doses to vaccinate the vast majority of Canadians by the fall, but most of those won't arrive until later in the spring and summer, and provinces are warning they're going to run out. Almost 55,000 doses have now arrived in Canada, and about 71% of them have been injected. Another 38 million doses are scheduled to arrive by the end of next week. Clinical trials for the Pfizer-BioNTech Moderna vaccine showed the first dose provided some protection against serious illnesses from COVID-19, but the majority of patients in both trials received a second dose on schedule, leaving very limited data on how long the protection from the first dose lasts. So this like shows the trials and the COVID vaccine, how much trials it will be done in every way, right? So this is how things are. Um, let's see. Conservatives must reject Trumpism and address voter anger rather than stoking, says Speaker. Impulsive policy term is not a conspiracy theory. Ken Cool. Longtime conservative strategist Ken Cosberg says he will no longer tolerate casual Trumpism in personal or political life and wants to see it stamped out of Canadian politics. In the past, some people said, oh, it isn't what Trump is doing. Good. And I would always say, well, Trump is a horrible man, said Boswell, senior research fellow at CD Howe Institute and former senior campaign advisor to former Prime Minister Stephen Harper. And they're like, well, yeah, he horrible man, but what he's doing is good. So I'm glad he's there. Both of the current met that he would usually just stopping talking and let the matter drop, but that he's not going to do that. I'm going to say, look, Trump is bad man. He's an evil man and he did evil things and he tried to overthrow the government in order to try and steal the election, he said. I'm going to go one step further and say what you believe is unacceptable. US President Donald Trump faces impeaching presidency over accusation he's citing the attack on the US Capitol last week, following his baseless claims of fraud on the November 3rd election. In the wake of the violence, wrote an opinion piece warning that Trump-style populism that has infected US politics pose a threat to Canada as well. He urges his peers in the Conservative Party to find policy solutions that speak to voters, as opposed to stoking their anger. Conservative Party leader Aaron O'Toole issued a statement condemning the U.S. Capitol violence last week, but Global Mail reports Kelly says he has to walk a very careful walk in doing so. The problem is there are people in his party who support Trump, and he doesn't want to completely align them, she said. They must know they need to do everything possible to get rid of the idea that they're associated with it, she said. She also pointed to O'Toole's slogan during his leadership campaign, Take Back Canada. It sounds like it could have come from the Republican politics that is happening in the United States, she said. Today I released my plan to take back Canada, ready the platform and join my fight to take back. You can be crying about the radical left and woke mob and cancel culture while also not saying anything about specific white supremacy or specifically acknowledging the fact that systemic racism exists, she said. In September interview with CTV, O'Toole sidestepped a question about systemic racism in Canada, saying some police believed that term unfair paints all policy officers as racist. Deputy Conservative leader Sandy Burch has also come under following the U.S. Capitol riot when undertaken emerged of her wearing a Make a Great America hat. Burch issued a statement saying she condemns the violence at the U.S. Capitol but did not answer questions about when the image was taken. A photo of Conservative MP Kansi Burge wearing the MAG hat had been circulating along the source. The party also faced criticism last week for a fundraising page on the website which claimed Justin Trudeau is rigging the election in his favor. Critics drew the parallel between the allegation against Trudeau and Trump's baseless accusation that the US presidential election was rigged. The page, which dated back in July 2019, was removed but can be viewed in online archive, not filled with the Conservative Party. I don't think rig the election was particularly helpful or good, Bosom said. He said the page was in a reaction to the electoral reform around campaign spending that critics said gave the Liberals an advantage to over opposition parties. I'm not excusing that kind of language, but think it's very different. I don't want these people to leave our party, he said. I just want us to find a conservative solution to address underlying concerns as opposed to using anger to make them mad, to get them to vote for us. So these articles now. Uh, they have been participating in active violence proposing to sprint democracy, said Jagmeet Singh. Following the attack at the US Capitol building last week by an era of pro-Trump group, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh said the Proud Boys should be designated a terrorist group. Given their involvement in the violence and undermining of democracy and incitement of those horrible images that we saw out of Washington, D.C., I think it's very clear this is a group that should not be able to operate in Canada, said Singh. Founded by the Canadian Singh spoke at Happens host by Carl Off about how he thinks the federal government should deal with groups like the Proud Boys. Here's a part of the conversation. I'm going to be ending it there because I have to go. We're going to continue tomorrow. But yes, Trump needs to leave. And the conservative theories, we can't have what's happening in America. We can't be so much divided as America, and we need to be democratically, and we need to follow the law and the rules, and to be fair. And yes, Trump needs to be impeached. And next week, the impeachment is going to go to the Senate. I hope he gets impeached, and I hope everybody agrees with me that he should be getting impeached because a guy like that should not be running in 2024. And and yes, in the next couple of days, he can do any damage, and I'm worried about that because what we saw last Wednesday was horrific. We don't know by next Wednesday how things are going to be with the inauguration day, especially those rioters. I don't know what they're going to be doing, right? They can attack again, and I'm worried about that. So hopefully, the Capitol building will stay safe until the inauguration day. Even after inauguration day, I'm hoping it always will stay safe, and I hope Donald Trump gets impeached. He already got impeached today in the House. That's good news. But next week he's going to be impeached in the Senate, and he can lose that impeachment, and he will definitely lose that impeachment because a lot of Republicans today that they said that they want to go with Democrats. So that's a sign that tells you that the impeachment will happen, but we just don't know what's going to happen next week. That's all I have today for Alberta news. Tomorrow I'll continue updating you about more news. I hope everybody have a great day and see you tomorrow.